Hi, Filter here. You know, it's been almost 30 years since I've had this issue of the Comics Journal. I think this is actually the first one I ever got. I remember being in the Air Force and I saw this, and well, let's just say, from what I understood, Jim Shooter revealed things which I think he shouldn't have revealed. He was subsequently fired later on that year, but what are you going to do? What I'm getting at is how I remember listening to the Honey Badgers the other day, and they described how comics have been going, and it kind of goes like this. There's a lot of lazy writing out there, and the reason why I bring up Jim Shooter is because love him or hate him, he did his best work back in the 80s. Now, if you go to Wikipedia, I found just this little section where he worked at Marvel. Here we go. In the mid 1970s, Marvel Comics was undergoing a series of changes in the position of editor in chief Roy Thomas after Roy Thomas stepped down from the post to focus on writing. Okay. A succession of other editors, Lynn Wein, Marv Wolfman, Jerry Conway, and Archie Goodman, took the job during a relatively short span of time, only to find the task too daunting as Marvel continued to grow and add new titles and a larger staff to turn out material. Okay. Let me just jump down here. After a quick turnover to the top, when he started out as assistant editor, he found himself in 1978 as editor in chief. Pretty good. He was a pretty young kid, from a young guy at the time. Stan Lee went to do all the other stuff in California, and now we get to this part. He new titles. He was in charge of new titles, new development, that kind of thing. But under his tenure, Marvel enjoyed some of its best successes during Shooter's 9-year tenure as editor in chief, such as Chris Claremont and John Byrne's run on Uncanny X Men. You have to admit, those were the best stories out there. John Byrne's work on Fantastic Four. And here's something even more interesting: Frank Miller's series on Daredevil. Now, I've heard Razorfist kind of talk about that, but let's face it, thanks to Jim Shooter, they were able to get away with most of the stuff in there. And Walt Simonson's tenure on Thor, Roger Stern's run on the Avengers and the Amazing Spider-Man. He pretty much introduced us to specialty shop market, something like that. Brought Marvel into the lucrative comic book specialty shop with Dazzler. Let's see. Didn't know she was based on Bo Derek. And gave us titles such as Marvel Fanfare and Kazar. I remember my friend really loved reading Kazar and Marvel Fanfare, and of course the Marvel Treasury Edition. Then we get to something a little bit more interesting. He was the guy who gave us the original Contest of Champions and, of course, the original Secret Wars. All these things were very cohesive. And if you scroll down, he gives his editorial philosophy. And he says in an interview in 1982, he kind of goes like this: the characters must be introduced, the situation must be established, the conflict must be introduced, suspense must be built, a climax must be reached, a resolution must be achieved. I hate to say that most comics do not have that these days. Most of it is lamenting about one thing, and nowadays with social justice, it's like they're lamenting about whatever political BS that they want to express. Ooh, I don't like these people. They must be misogynist. Ooh, those people, they're teabaggers. Really? Tell a story. Tell a good story. That's all you have to do. It's not that hard. However, as I said, I kind of long for the days of a gym shooter. I long for a day when we used to have the Comics Code. Comics Code kept a lot of people in line, but it allowed for gritty creativity. Like I said, it's so funny when you take away that thing which everybody thought was a problem, only to find out you have an even bigger problem when you got rid of the thing that was keeping it at bay, the other problem at bay. So, let me know if you guys have an opinion on this, if you have a video you want to make about this. If you disagree, fine. If you agree, great. But I'd really like to know, do you think Jim Shooter, do we need another Jim Shooter out there? Do you think we should have another Jim Shooter? And are any of you out there going to be the next Jim Shooter? That's all I have to say. I'm Filter. Leave your comments below. Rate if you like. Y'all take care now.